The candlelight flickered across Sarah's face, casting shadows that hid the lie in her eyes. "I want us to try something new," she said, her voice soft but steady, as she set down her wine glass on the crisp white tablecloth of our favorite Italian restaurant. It was our 10th anniversary, the night I'd planned meticulously. Roses, her favorite Chianti, even a violinist in the corner playing our song. But her words sliced through the romance like a knife. An open marriage. Just explore. We've been together so long, Mark. Don't you feel like we're in a rut? My fork froze midway to my mouth, the pasta suddenly tasting like ash. I stared at her, heart pounding in my chest, a mix of disbelief and that gnawing suspicion I'd buried for months. "What?" I managed, my voice cracking despite my effort to stay calm. She reached for my hand, her fingers cool against my skin, but I pulled back instinctively. This wasn't Sarah, not the woman I'd married, the one who'd laughed through our broke college days and held me when my dad died. Or was it? The trap I'd set was closing, and she had no idea she'd just stepped into it. We'd driven home in silence that night, the city lights blurring through the rain-streaked windows. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles whitened, replaying her words. An open marriage? It sounded so casual, like suggesting a new Netflix show. But I'd seen the signs, hadn't I? The late work meetings that stretched into the wee hours, her phone buzzing at odd times with messages she dismissed as spam. Denial had been my shield. Maybe she was stressed from her promotion at the ad agency. Maybe I was overthinking. But suspicion had crept in like fog, thick and unrelenting. The next morning, over coffee, I played along. "Okay," I said, forcing a smile as she stirred her mug, her eyes lighting up with surprise. "If that's what you want, let's talk about it." Her relief was palpable, a quick hug that felt hollow. "You're amazing, Mark. This could be good for us." I nodded, but inside, anger simmered, a slow boil I'd kept hidden. How could she do this? We'd built a life, the cozy house in the suburbs, weekend hikes with our dog, dreams of kids someday. Yet here she was, unraveling it thread by thread. That afternoon, while she was at yoga, I finally checked her laptop, something I'd resisted for weeks, telling myself trust was sacred. But her request had shattered that illusion. The password was still our wedding date. Ironic, really. In her email trash folder, buried but not deleted, were messages from Alex. Not her brother Alex, but some guy from her office. "Can't wait for tonight." One read, dated 3 months back. "Your place or mine?" My stomach twisted, heartbeat thundering in my ears. Photos attached. Her in a dress I'd bought her, laughing in a bar I'd never been to. Denial cracked like glass underfoot. This wasn't a rut. This was betrayal. I closed the laptop, breath ragged, and paced the living room. Memories flooded me. Our first date, awkward and sweet, sharing ice cream on a park bench. The way she'd cry during sad movies, curling into my side. Was it all a facade? Anger surged, hot and blinding. I wanted to smash something, scream at the walls. But I held it in, plotting instead. The trap needed to snap, shut properly. I texted her, "Dinner tonight? Let's celebrate our new chapter." Her reply was swift. "Love that. Be home by 7. She arrived at 7:15, flushed and apologetic. Traffic was killer. I smiled, pouring wine, but my eyes caught the faint smudge of lipstick on her collar. Not her shade. Subtle clues I'd ignored before now screamed. The new perfume, the gym bag, always packed just so. We sat on the couch, her head on my shoulder, and she whispered, "I'm excited about this. It doesn't change how I feel about you." Lies, all lies. Heartbreak clawed at me, a deep ache that made my chest tighten. How we gotten here? I've been working long hours too, sure, but I'd never strayed. Trust, once ironclad, now crumbled like sand. As the evening wore on, I steered the conversation. "Tell me more about what you want," I said, voice even. She hesitated, then opened up. "Just freedom to connect with others. Like that guy from work, Alex. We've been talking." My pulse raced. There was the admission, casual as if discussing the weather. "Talking," I echoed, feigning curiosity. She nodded, eyes avoiding mine. "Yeah, nothing serious. But it feels alive, you know." I stood then, walking to the kitchen under pretense of refilling glasses. Suspense built in the silence, my hands shaking as I pulled out the printed emails. I'd snapped photos on my phone earlier, but confrontation needed tangibility. Returning, I dropped them on the coffee table. Alive like this? Her face paled, color draining as she scanned the pages. Mark, how did you? Doesn't matter. I cut in, voice low but laced with fury. You've been screwing around for months. Our anniversary? That was your way out, wasn't it? Make it seem mutual. Tears welled in her eyes, but they didn't move me. Not anymore. It wasn't like that, she sobbed. I love you, but I felt trapped. The routine, the sameness. Alex made me feel seen. Understandable. Maybe our marriage had grown comfortable, complacent. But betrayal? That was a choice, painful and deliberate. We argued into the night, voices rising and falling like a storm. Denial gave way to her confessions. It started with flirty texts, escalated to stolen afternoons. Anger peaked when she blamed me. You're always at work. But heartbreak won out, a hollow void where love once bloomed. I thought we were forever, I whispered, collapsing onto the chair. She reached for me, but I shook my head. It's over. By dawn, she'd packed a bag, heading to her sister's. The house echoed with emptiness as I sat alone, staring at our wedding photo on the mantel. The trap had worked, but victory tasted bitter. Trust shattered irreparably. I'd uncovered the truth, but at what cost? Heart mending seemed impossible, yet in the quiet, reflection stirred. Maybe this was a cruel gift. Freedom from illusion, a chance to rebuild alone. As the sun rose, I tossed the photo into the trash, stepping into an uncertain dawn, the weight of betrayal lifting just enough to breathe.